Hello again, this is Jeff with the Valhalla Ventures, reguideservice.com, reiguideservice.com. Wanted to just touch base, do a quick video on if you have an insurance claim, some of the things that you might be experiencing, some things you might experience in the future. If you do have an insurance claim, commercial, residential, doesn't really matter. I had done several videos, a lot of talks where I discuss insurance and how, most insurance across the board does a pretty decent job. Some of them takes you a little longer to get to the results you want, the results you deserve than other companies. But I think that that's changed a lot, and I think that they're all pretty much the same now at this point, especially after the last couple of big instances this last year in 2020. It seems that a lot of the companies are going by the wayside of customer service. They're letting go of those people to do customer service. They're getting rid of a lot of the field staff that they have and other people, which makes their resources lower. But I guess it also reduces their liability, not only for the general liability of what's going on in 2021 and 2020, but also the liability from if they have a bad claim. If they're subcontracting it out to people that aren't employees, then they have less liability if you get upset about the claim not being done properly. So that being said, there's still the same applicable stuff that I did tell you before, if you've heard me, so let me recap those things for you. You're still going to have to do a lot of work, okay? It's very rare that you're going to have an insurance adjuster come out and give you a full and complete claim first time around, and there's a lot of reasons for it. Number one reason is human error. That's what I've always found, is it's just they forgot. There's stuff that they didn't put in. They're looking at a ton of properties. It's a ton of information, remember. It's really hard work, and nobody's perfect, and they make mistakes. I would say that's the number one reason. There's lots of other reasons, they don't matter. What does matter, though, is that you get all the money that you need to put your home back. That's what really matters. It's not about even fair or unfair. It's not about deserved or not deserved. None of that really plays into it, because those are more emotional things. It's a factual nature, an apples to apples comparison. And of course that is, of course, if you have the proper insurance. There's people that have cap on their insurance, so they're only going to get $10,000. Obviously that doesn't apply to you. There's not much you can do. Your cap is your cap. That's the insurance that you put in place, and make better decisions from now on. I don't like the way that turned off all of a sudden. I think that if you, I still think that if you, even if you're okay with going with a lesser material, let's say that you had hardwood floors and you want to go back with something that's not real hardwood, it's laminate, it's cheaper, and they're going to pay cheaper. That's a decision that you can make. I would say that that's not a decision you should make. I think that you should get apples to apples, the money to put back your house where it was. And there's a couple of reasons for that. The number one reason being that major changes like that really are your decision. You can change out flooring and cabinets and all that kind of stuff, but if you're not putting in the quality and grade of materials or the quality and grade of labor that was in there beforehand, if you have a mortgage, you're really looking at devaluing the collateral that this mortgage company has. And that's something that I think also has a moral issue and a moral caliber to it as well. Not saying that I think that they are, but that doesn't mean that mortgage companies or lenders are moral necessarily. But I'm not a get one over on other people type of person, even if it's a corporation. That's not my style, but I digress. Getting back to this claim, what I've experienced a lot over the last several hundred claims now, since I did a full video on this, is that because I'm not an adjuster, what I do is I'm a consultant. I'm a construction consultant. So the way that I become involved in these deals is that I have contractors and homeowners that will contact me and say, hey, there's something missing here, because I have a contractor that's telling me to do all of this stuff, and he's not giving a breakdown line item by line item. I can't really compare it to the thing that the insurance company is providing, which is this scope of work that looks to be incomplete. But it's so it's room by room, so you can't really know what you're paying total for like insulation or for drywall. You have to go and break it all down. It just becomes a lot of work. And so what I try to do as a construction consultant is I try to explain to them what it is that they have. And sometimes I'll go through and I'll break out everything and show them what their total budget is according to the insurance for the drywall. And then if they say they can't find anybody to do the drywall for that price, usually I'll give them my recommendations on if they're in line, if they're being reasonable, or if they're being unreasonable. Prices change. So sometimes they are being reasonable for saying that they can't get that. Sometimes, a lot of times, they're being unreasonable in wanting just like the most expensive of everything, which doesn't really make sense. You just need apples to apples. And if you can get a good quality person to come in and do the work. But anyway, I digress again. But you have to be very diligent and very careful with what you, as a person that's made a claim to the insurance, because, for instance, if they say, okay, well, your contractor says you need this, do you have any proof of that, like your cabinets, like that they're going to cost that much money, and say the contractor gives you a direct contact or gives you the estimate they were provided from this cabinet place, and you submit that to your insurance. Your insurance might say, okay, cool, well, then you're going to go hire them directly. You're not going through a general contractor. Now you're not going to get that 10% overhead and 10% profit that we normally pay to your contractor. And then you'll have to go back and fight to get that put back in again. That's the kind of things that I consult on, because there are a lot of pitfalls that, as someone that's not an adjuster, I just know about construction, but I do know from being a contractor the games that are played within the insurance claim world. You know, the first step is they have an adjuster that goes out. Maybe they really don't know what they're doing. Maybe it's intentional. Who knows? I've experienced both recently. I've experienced a lot of adjusters intentionally leaving things out because they were told by the insurance that they needed to leave these specific things out. If they didn't, then they wouldn't be paid on the adjustment of the claim, or it would be sent back until it was done correctly or whatever, which is insane to me. That's literally asking someone to commit fraud, or help. It's like a conspiracy to commit fraud at that point, I guess. So I lost my train of thought. I'm still dumbfounded by some of the stuff that I've dealt with recently with some of these subcontractor adjuster types. So, of course, if you are careful and make sure that you demand a proper scope of work from your adjuster. So if they've left things out intentionally, unintentionally, doesn't really matter. What matters is they need to give you a full and complete scope of work. It is not your job as the homeowner to provide them a scope of work. So if you had all your drywall from 2 foot down ripped out, then that means that your exterior walls, the drywall is ripped down 2 foot out, which means that there's going to be insulation in all of your exterior walls, which means that the insulation needs to be put back in, which means there's going to be an antimicrobial cleaning agent used inside of the wall cavities, especially on the exterior walls. That means that you're going to need to remove and reset all of your outlets. All of these things, and there's a ton of them, all of these things, not only the demolition, the pulling of the nails, baseboards, base shoe, if that's something that you have. I mean, these are all things that are just in one outside wall. It's a lot of things. And if you don't have those things in there, you're not going to have the money you need to go to a quality contractor. And frankly, you shouldn't trust your contractor to put together a scope of work for you, because that's not typically what their job is. Like if you say, hey, I want my house painted, and you call a painting contractor, they might be able to give you a scope of work. But you've really said, here's what the scope of work is. I want my house painted. And then they're telling you everything that needs to be done from what they can see. Whereas it's not the same in the insurance, because there might be a lot of stuff that they would suggest doing, because no contractor is going to suggest removing drywall 2 foot down. They're going to want to remove it 4 foot down. So you need the contractor you're working with to bid on the scope of work that you're providing them. And that's going to be what the insurance company is. But then the insurance company is going to give you a messed up scope of work and tell you to get a contractor to write you a scope of work. But then you're going to get that done. The contractor's going to say, well, I want to do 4 foot down because it's easier, it's cheaper on labor. It just winds up being the same thing. And they're going to say, no, we don't want to do that. And it's going to be back and forth. Just make them, the insurance company, provide the scope of work. Make them give you a full and complete scope of work. And if they give you something that's your draft offer, final offer, whatever they're calling it now, if they give you that and you go through and you have, you break it down in sections, and of course it's a lot of work and you shouldn't have to, but it's the only way to get it done right. And that's the whole reason people pay me, is because it's annoying, and it is annoying. It's very frustrating to have to go through it, but you have to go through your entire bid and the whole scope of work that they've given you. Don't focus on the price. That doesn't even matter. You just literally go through and say, okay, it says remove and replace drywall, remove and replace this, remove and replace that. So what you want to do is just break it all down so that you have everywhere it says remove and replace drywall, whatever the quantity and totals and everything for that one item on the scope of work, add that up, put that down at the bottom. Outlets, outlet covers, same thing, down at the bottom. Add it all together, and when you get down to the bottom and you're done, what you should have is a scope of work. That's going to mean you're going to know how many total square foot or linear foot of drywall. They're calculating it both ways. You're still going to have to, if they give it to you in linear foot, you're going to have to break that into square foot so that you can present it to someone to drywall, because drywall's been in square foot, but they're giving it to you in linear foot. There's a lot of stuff that you're going to have to go through, but what's important is that you go through it. You figure it out. You hire a professional. You take the time and just sit there and methodically go through, put it onto your own Excel spreadsheet. And once you have that, then you can go meet with like a general contractor or a contractor, or, I mean, pretty much you can go through every one of the trades if you want to take it to that next level and say, hey, look, here's what these items are, like drywall. And then the guy will say to you, well, hey, who's going to take all those outlets off? Because those outlets have to be removed. The box can stay, but the box can stay, but the outlet has to come out and turn back in so that the drywall can go over it, because then you put the outlet on the outside of the drywall, not cut out for that little outlet. So who's going to do that? And then you can go back to the insurance company when you've gone through and talked to those people and said, hey, these are all the things that I'm told need to be done in conjunction with. You need to add this, and they can add that to a scope of work, an addendum, and then you'll get paid for it. Not a big deal. But the advantages are if you go through it first, make them give that to you first, because there might be some addendums, there might be some change. And what I mean by that is they might agree to remove a cabinet and reset that cabinet, but then you need to understand that when you pull that cabinet out, it might be damaged. It may know if it's a built-in, it's impossible. You're not going to be able to remove it and put it back very often. So that means that you might have to go back and do an addendum for that. Hey, we tried pulling it out so we could put it back, but you're just going to have to turn that into a pull it out and for demo, and build in a new price to build me a new building. That kind of thing is just methodical and takes time. And that's why you hire a professional to help you. That's why you deal with trades and contractors that you trust. And I know that it's very difficult and ridiculous. And that's why a lot of people just give up and don't fight their insurance company. And then they wind up having to hire people that agree to do things for much less than what a good price is. And if you think about it, why would someone, when all of this work is going on, when there's a catastrophe or damage all over on a widespread area, why would anybody be willing to do work for less than what they know the insurance is paying? The only way they would do that is if they didn't know, or they don't know what they're doing, and they're just trying to make money any way they can. And that's the type of people that you'll wind up with doing work on your home, and that's not beneficial in the long run to anybody. So the best way to do it is to make sure that your insurance company gives you a proper scope of work, that you review that scope of work or have someone review that scope of work, break it down so that you can come up with something that you can present to trades, contractor, whoever you're going to go with, and then you can do that. The advantage is, look, if you hire a general contractor on insurance, you get paid 10% over a 10% profit. That's what the contractor gets paid. You're not having to pay anything extra to hire a general contractor. So even as a homeowner myself, if I were to have a claim, I would hire a general contractor. There's no reason for me not to, when it'll pay for that general contractor. That general contractor is going to go to Home Depot. It's going to meet with trades when I can't. It's going to, go pick up materials. That contractor is going to do everything for me, and the insurance is paying for that. So that's why I definitely would suggest getting with professionals. I'm not a big fan of independent claims adjusters because I think they take things way overboard. I've been dealing with several over the last couple months, and they're taking claims that should be, $50,000-$60,000, and they're going after the insurance for like 145, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. But they say that they're going to get in a debate, and they'll go back and forth, and they'll meet somewhere in the middle. But I don't know. It seems like a whole lot of extra work instead of just going through and saying, hey, here's the things you're not going to deny. They're easily provable, and that's that. If you do that, you will have to take a lot of extra steps because a lot of these insurance claims places are set up to be a pain in the butt. So you just give up and take what their first offer is and go away. Or, you go do it and fix it all and then send them a bill 6 months from now. But now they've had 6 months to save up some more money since they just had to pay out all of these claims. But anyway, I finally digress. My final digression. Be blessed, bless others. Spend the money that the insurance company gives you and pay out all of it to get what you should get done. There's going to be more than enough money. I can't tell how many people start worrying about like, oh no, how am I going to cover my deductible? To their deductibles covered by their GC. They're getting an upgrade on the flooring. They're getting an upgrade on the cabinets. They're getting an upgrade on, and they still want more. They still want more. You can't do that. You have to look at something as an opportunity to bless others, bless yourself, get your house fixed up. It'll be a little bit nicer. There's plenty of money to pay good quality people to do work. And if you have good quality work on your house done, it's going to look great. And that's what the whole point is. And at the end of the day, it's the end of the day. Listen, you can go check me out on all my social medias. It's the Valhalla Ventures or Reguide Service, REIGUIDESERVICE.com on my website, and that's it for the Reguide Service. But the Valhalla Ventures, I have an Instagram, I have YouTube's, obviously, and some other stuff. I don't know. You can find me. It's pretty easy. I'm not the charity one. I do like the fact that I share the name of the charity. I just realized that not that long ago. Anyway, just want to make sure that was clear also. This is Jeff. Have a great day. Be blessed, bless others, all that kind of fancy stuff. And you can do it. It's a pain, I know. But just hire professionals. The insurance company pays money. You shouldn't have to pay them anything up front to get all that stuff going and to handle your construction aspects of it and communication of those construction aspects to the insurance. Shouldn't be a problem with that. Take care of it. They'll take care of you. Well, that's it. I got to go. My screen's off.